Hi, welcome to the Stitch TV show. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Pam. We're happy you're joining us today. The Stitch is an online quilting talk show, the perfect soundtrack for your sewing room. Join us for twice monthly talk shows, virtual stitch-ins, celebrity interviews, and podcasts. You can learn more at thestitchtvshow.com.
Our show today is brought to you by QT Fabrics, and we have the ombre stitches with us again today, but they'll sadly be gone by the time this episode's because someone will.
We'll have won it.
Yes,
Hooray.
exactly.
But we will have another giveaway
Soon. Exactly.
Soon.
Keep watching. Exactly.
Very soon.
So today we're going to be talking about the results of our applique survey.
And
that I don't know what the results are, so it'll be a surprise for me. And we're joined by my Tumble Down quilt.
And also we'll be talking about starting a quilt guild.
Oh, I forgot that part.
You
Yes.
did. Okay. We'll bring it back around.
There you go.
So you heard the news.
What news did I hear?
Mary Fawn's got a new job.
She did.
She did. She's now the editor at Quilt Folk.
Which I think we need to be in that.
Well, we got to wait for the Georgia episode.
I know, but we should tell them we're Georgia and
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Call us up. Maybe I'll contact her, see if she'll be on our celebrity.
Put it on the list.
Oh, there you go.
We got a long list.
We do. So, yes, that's exciting, though. That is a beautiful, beautiful magazine. Is it really a magazine? It feels like a graphic novel. I mean, it's just the way it's put together. It's very...
Yeah, it's definitely filling a hole that didn't exist when several of the other magazines that focused around
Quilter's Newsletter.
Stories and commentary and not so much about like pattern.
Yeah, I miss Quilter's Newsletter, which was that was the kind of the magazine that kind of had the stories and the behind the scenes kind of stuff. But Quilt Folk, oh, it's just a beautifully done. It's one of those expensive.
Yeah.
They're not inexpensive. It's an expensive magazine, but it feels more like a graphic novel. Like they only come out.
Is it quarterly? I don't
yeah,
remember.
It's either it's not
every other month.
I don't think it's bi-monthly. I think it's quarterly. I don't know.
Periodical.
Oh, it's a periodical.
But that is also the section of the library that I usually don't go to.
Why? Oh, see, I lived in those during grad school years, but that's when we had card catalogs too, so. Which we no longer have anymore. Why would you ever have a card catalog now?
Nostalgia.
Yeah, and little drawers. I like the little drawers.
Little drawers are cool.
They are.
You could be an apothecary.
Yes, little drawers. They have little drawers. True.
Any other professions have little drawers? Auto mechanics, tiny little drawers full of screws and random parts.
Quilters, little drawers. No wonder.
We could start a periodical called Little Drawers.
You know what? We could. There you go.
Just be pictures of little drawers.
Things to put in little drawers. So did you see
tiny underpants, which are actually little drawers?
Speaking of underpants.
Speaking of, yes, bring it around.
I'm going to. Did you see the Calvin Klein 2018 spring pictures? Go out and look at the Calvin Klein 2018 spring fashion stuff that's coming out. The entire set of all their models has quilts draped all over it. It's very cool. And it's Calvin Klein. See how that connected? It's pretty good. So, yeah, it was really cool, though. A friend of mine posted a picture of it. I'm like, oh, look at all those quilts. And it's the new fashion stuff that Calvin Klein's got coming out. So, quilts are cool. They're fashionable. Who knew we were so cool?
Who? We knew. We knew that.
Never been the cool kid, ever.
Maybe not 30 years ago. Really worked my way up.
It's taken us a few years, but we're there. Yeah, we're on it. Calvin Klein's just catching up. Anyway, so we're talking about applique results?
Yes. So on one of our recent giveaways, we usually pose a question for people to answer in the comments. And so I had asked, because we were giving away the applique kit, what kind of applique do you do, if you do any?
Right. I do lots. I have no idea what this is going to say. So, because I'm not in charge of any surveys or anything,
So we had about
which is good.
70 comments.
Oh, that's a lot. And you looked at all these comments and you analyzed the data and you've put it into a pie chart, Pam?
In fact, I did. Pie charts
Pie
are
chart.
the best charts. They look like pie.
Which is awesome.
Anyway.
I like pie.
So, about 10% of people said that they had not yet tried applique, but were going to.
Because it's fun. Applique is fun. Okay.
13% were like all in on needle turn.
Wow.
That was their jam, needle
Needle turn. I've done needle turn.
which is a hand applique method.
And I couldn't find my sample.
A very small percentage, about 3 people total, 4%, were like, freezer paper. They do freezer paper applique.
Which is actually this is freezer paper applique.
Which is another hand method, right?
No, it's a machine method, but it can also be a hand method.
Oh.
Yes. So you can use freezer paper for either hand or machine. Of course, you take the freezer paper out when you do it, before you do it. But it's a way to turn the edge under
Mhm.
and iron it. And then you take the freezer paper out. And because you've got those edges turned under, you can lay them on top in either machine or needle.
Now,
or,
after you turn it under, you're using like a very starchy mix. Is it pure starch or is it
pure
starch and
starch.
water? Oh, okay,
Pure starch. You take a can of the
Spray starch?
spray starch and you use the lid of it and you spray it into the lid.
Okay.
And then you take a cheap paintbrush that you can get at the dollar store. And because you've ironed the freezer paper on the back side of your applique that you're getting ready to lay down, so it would be this flower. And freezer paper has 2 sides. It has a side that's got wax on it and a side that's just paper. So the wax side to the back side of your fabric. And then you trim a 1/4 of an inch away from all of the edges of that applique. Then you take your paintbrush, because the freezer paper's been ironed down, right? You take your paintbrush, you dip it in the starch, and you fold it over and get it really wet, the outside edge of it, and then you take it to the iron and you iron the edges, press the edges in. Then that will allow you let that dry, and what I do is heat set it, get it dry to where it's really kind of stiff. Take the crispy, take the freezer paper out. At that point, I now have the shape with the edges turned under. So I'm surprised only 4%. Maybe people don't know how to do it. It's actually a very successful way to do applique, prep your applique for it to be ready.
Now, a lot of people, we had 27% said all in on fusible, that they like the raw edge fusible.
Right. Fusible, that's this. So fusible, see, I have samples.
She came prepared. Even though she didn't know what this topic was, she came prepared.
I like applique. And I couldn't find my needle turn sample. It's in my closet, but I'm not real sure. I'm going to be able to find it after we've done this. It's all these snowmen. So what fusible is you iron the fusible to the back side of your fabric, and then you trim exactly on the line. To whereas freezer paper, you trim 1/4 of an inch away. On fusible, you trim exactly on the line. And then you take off the paper, because again, fusible has glue on one side, paper on the back. You take off the paper, and then you can iron it down. You place it on your background fabric, and you can iron it down. Then you take either a zigzag, a blanket stitch, whatever stitch floats your boat, actually, and you stitch around the edge of the design, and then that attaches to your thing. So, and I think I actually have some tips out there on how to machine applique stuff down. But I could do on how to freezer paper too, Because it's really a good technique.
So we had about 18% said that they do multiple methods, and usually the most common combination was needle turn and fusible. Like if they're in a hurry, they do fusible. If they just want to take
a
their
long
time, then they use
project,
needle turn.
Yeah.
So
Well, needle turn's hand, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely.
yeah, but definitely fusible was the single most popular, and then followed by needle turn and then freezer paper as individuals. But lots of people just do a bunch. Now, I will say 28% of people just think that we're super neat. And they didn't have time to answer my question about applique, but they're like, we love you guys. And also scissors. Can I please win those? So there you go.
So they were like, we don't care about applique.
Like, you're cute. I would like free stuff now.
Right, exactly.
We love those people.
We do. They're kind of our kind of people.
They
really.
are our people. Like directions. I don't need those.
I'd never look at directions. Those are references after you screwed something up. Then you go out and look at them.
And that's why she did not like IKEA.
I don't like IKEA. I know this is like sacrilegious because it was like this big trip. And I was like, I think I've already been there. And there's not very much in the store that I'm like loving. The one thing I really liked didn't look like IKEA.
Apocalypse has happened. The production staff is about to walk out based on her feelings on IKEA.
That's true. They were very disappointed that I didn't find IKEA is fascinating.
Now, I will say my favorite method for applique didn't even make the list because I was not eligible to win, so I didn't even leave a comment.
What is your favorite method?
So I think mine is probably similar to freezer paper.
I know,
but it is using the specialty, and I don't even know, it's not interfacing because it's not iron-on, but it's from Sharon Shamber and her daughter.
Another company produces it too.
Purple Daisies. And basically it is a product that you trace the shape on, like you would the back of a fusible. You trim it out on the line. You use an Elmer's purple glue stick to kind of glue it on the back of your fabric and use that same glue to kind of wrap the edges around. And then you use a monofilament thread to stitch it down, or you could use a regular thread if you want to. But the benefit of this is that the thing itself, again, not interfacing, but the product, when you get it wet, it just kind of turns to fiber and it doesn't stay stiff. And because it just turns to fiber and relaxes, it just adds dimension to the applique.
Right.
And it stays in there.
That is a great product. And I've got that sample upstairs. The thing that makes that really successful, the key with applique is, especially if you're doing needle turn or some other ones, the hope is that you don't see the stitches.
Yes.
So when Sharon Schomburg teaches that class, or her daughter, because I've taken that class, what happens is that what they tell you to do is, I've got to think about this right. You wash your background fabric.
Nope.
But you do not wash.
Nope. Reverse.
It's reverse.
You leave your background fabric unwashed.
That's it. Yes.
You wash your applique
fabric.
That way, once you get everything put together and stitched down and you soak it in water, then the background fabric, because it was not washed before, will shrink like just the tiniest bit that fabric does when you wash it. And that pulls the applique shape under a little bit and adds more to that dimension.
And hide your stitches.
Yes.
And the key with that is, and seriously, I thought this was kind of funny. I was appraising a quilt of a friend of mine who uses that technique. She's won several awards using that technique. It's a very successful technique. And she does a zigzag stitch, and I think they tell you this in the class, that's like 0.9.
Yeah.
I mean, it's teeny
less than
tiny.
a millimeter. Less than a millimeter.
Yeah, it's teeny tiny. And it's a little, and she uses monofilament thread. So she's hiding these stitches. So when it shrinks, it pulls it under it. And I was appraising this quilt, and this lady, it was hanging at a show, and this lady came up to me and she goes, "Now look at this. This is needle turn applique." And I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I should have. And I looked at her and I said, no, it's machine. She goes, it is not. I was like, I know the quilter, and I'm appraising this. It's machine. Like, thanks for playing. You don't know. Like, I should have kept my mouth shut. I felt bad after that. So I corrected her. She was, and I was younger than she was, and I think she looked at me like, you have no idea.
She was about to bless your heart.
I know, she probably did when she walked away. She was like, bless her heart. She thinks she's cute. But it was machine applique, and I knew. But I knew the quilter, and I'd watched her make the quilt, so I was pretty sure.
And I took the class from that quilter.
Yeah, yeah. I should have brought that sample down. It's a really great, it's a great, very successful technique, but there's extra steps, and the extra steps that keep me from doing it is washing the fabric.
So great resources on Applique. Sharon Chamber's book,
Right?
which we will post a link to in our show
Yes,
notes. For fusible applique, I think Sue Nichols' book.
exactly.
And,
It's what
and
I
her
was
sister
going to
Pat
say.
Holly.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Do you know a good book on needle turn?
Oh, yes, I do, but I will give it to you because I don't remember the name of it. And it's a Baltimore album book. That's
good.
really kind of your pinnacle of needle turn applique is Baltimore albums. And there's a lady that's really known that's completely left. This is the Martha Pullen moment of this show. She's completely. That was the pin
Yes.
tucking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I looked it up later.
I know. So yes, I will give you that reference, and we can take a picture of it and put it out there.
I have a good book on freezer paper applique that I will link to.
Okay, good.
So we got all the bases covered.
We got you covered. Yes. And I will maybe try to film if once I get past some of the other stuff. Maybe I'll film some stuff on applique since I like doing it.
Good for you.
Yay, me. So now we're going to take a closer look at Tumble Down, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we are going to talk about starting a quilt guild, which we've been a part of. Yes, we were.
I swooped in after all the hard work was done.
I did too, so that was good. But if you were going to start a quilt guild, what would be your tips? I mean, we were there in the beginning.
True.
So, I mean, we definitely I was there after things.
I was there after it started 3 months before, I think. They started meeting July, and I showed up in October.
I don't remember. I was like the
You were the
first
next
year.
year.
Yeah, it was first like January or whatever of the next year. 6 months later. Sorry. So I have nothing. I don't know how to do
We got
this.
nothing. Yeah.
So you go right ahead.
Well, I mean, the first thing with starting a guild is you want to connect with other people.
That was the first. Find people.
People.
People is what you need to start a
And
guild.
place. Because you can find people on the interwebs.
Yes.
But it's hard to get together in those tiny tubes.
It's
Just saying.
true. It is. But yeah, find people and a place to meet.
How do you find people?
Oh, I would like put stuff out on the interwebs and say, hey, I'm here. We want to, are you located close? And
Do you like me?
do you like me?
Do you
I
like
you.
quilts? Check yes or
Do you
no.
like me? You were friends in college and
Like.
What? Never mind.
Friends in college. What is this?
It's a line from shoot. What's the movie with Night at the Museum? Thank you. I had to have
Production support.
Yes. Help. Anyway.
It really doesn't help explain it. But let's say that you were looking for people. So you could also say hang out at a local quilt shop.
That's true, yes.
Although not everyone has one.
True. But that's where I would actually go and ask if you could meet.
Do you know of any guilds?
Do you know of any guilds, or we'd like to start a guild?
Or do you have people come and hang out and sew? Or
right. And then we want a guild. And
yeah.
I know that churches will work with guilds to allow places to meet. I know that I've seen different government type of
Libraries, fire departments sometimes have community rooms.
Right. Actually, do you know the meeting room where the East Cobb Quilt Guild actually started was in a bank?
Hmm.
They had a big conference room in a bank, and that's where they started. And for a while they met there, and the bank, because of fire regulations, would only allow so many people in the room. So that was how many people could be in the guild. Like, and we're done. There's 20 people, and we're done. So once they got bigger, then they started looking for other places they could rent, and that's something you got to take
Yeesh.
into
Yeah.
consideration is rent. Sometimes guilds will meet at quilt stores, and quilt stores will be totally into it that you don't have to pay rent because people are buying stuff from the store.
Yeah.
So you always want, if you are meeting at a quilt store, promote that store, keep them in business, buy your stuff from them. Not to say that's the only place you buy from, but
Yeah.
you know, you definitely want to shop there because of they're giving you that space for the time.
And honestly, like if you don't have that kind of local connection, but you want to find other people in your area, you can do like a targeted Facebook ad for $3
Oh, right.
and run it
yeah.
for a couple days. Like, I would like to start a guild, like start your Facebook page. Like, I'm interested in starting a guild, and you can target Facebook preferences for give me people in this area with this interest and $3.
Right. And a run.
Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook ads aren't that bad. We don't run them. We should probably run them about the stitch.
We did one.
Oh, did we? How did it do?
I don't think we did anything.
Oh, okay.
Well, because I did it to promote the droid quilt
Oh,
as an
right.
Instagram ad, just to be like, let's just see what this does.
Right.
Didn't do squat. Although we did sell a lot of droid patterns this past week.
Maybe it was delayed.
I think what happened is there's a new Star Wars May the 4th be with you swap going on.
Ah.
And someone posted a picture of our droid quilt as some of their inspiration.
There you go.
Which is bigger than a mini.
Oh,
But I think
yeah.
that might have.
You could shrink
push
it
some
down
people.
into a mini.
Good luck with
It'd
that.
be a lot of work.
Don't call me.
Have fun. It's called math.
And there's some wacky metrics in that. There's like some
there
7/8
is.
inches and stuff
Yeah,
in there.
there is. I
Woo!
made it.
Girl,
She made me make that quilt.
I did.
It was.
You love it.
I do.
See?
It's great. It's hanging up at a store.
And that's why you start a guild. Peer pressure.
True. But that does happen at guild, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that's one of the great things about being in a guild.
Remember the great Twister wave of
Twister.
'08 or
whatever.
2011?
So we were at, it was my first Modern Quilt Guild retreat, and it was a day retreat. And I thought, well, I didn't have anything. When you go to retreat, you want to have a plan so that you have something to sew. And one of the things that I have to admit I do when I go to retreats is I don't take necessarily the big projects that I'm working on. I'll take something I can sew in a day or something that's not as
complicated.
Exactly. Like, I don't want complicated because I'm trying to talk to people, and if I'm trying to figure out math, that's not good. I need quiet, focused Lynn, not
gregarious, spazzy Lynn.
I don't think gregarious and spazzy can be used to, like, really describe me well. Gregarious, no. I don't think so.
It's not our brand.
It's not me. Anyway.
Sitting in the basement talking about quilts, that's our brand.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing right now.
And we're good at that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I take something I can sew in a day, and I don't have to think about it. So I brought a layered cake and a new tool I wanted to use, which was a twister tool. So, and I made this twister quilt in a day, and I'm telling you, after that,
it was all twister quilts as far as the eye could see at our guild.
Everybody was like making twisters.
And I did one out of a charm pack.
Yes.
Which
really
is like
cool.
a good cat size quilt.
Yes, they're really cool. I made this at a guild.
At a retreat, yeah.
At a retreat, yes. This is.
I see it's hanging upside down.
Is it really?
Because I see writing, and the writing's upside down.
I told him to hang it this way, so I messed up. My fault.
That's okay.
I forgive.
The nice people out there can't see the writing, but now it's going to bother me forever.
She'll have nightmares about, oh my gosh, we hung the quilt upside down.
Not really, no.
It'll be bad. So what I would say though is that was a way to get people involved. So try to do a retreat. Like that may be a way to get to know people.
Well, and you have to think too, like, why do you want to start a guild? If you want to start a guild to connect with other quilters, you can do that by just starting a bee or a sewing group.
That's
A
true.
guild implies a lot of structure and
Extra.
formality and expense and bylaws and dues collecting and sometimes some drama.
Yes, it does.
Because when
That's
you
a
get
nervous
people,
laughter of, oh my God, you're
yeah,
so
when you
right.
get people together that are passionate about a thing, everyone's passionate about a thing in their own way, and sometimes their
True.
passion conflicts with your passion
Yeah, because you're not all simultaneously passionate.
about the exact same angle of the thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes you want a sewing group or a bee. If you want to bring in instructors, if you want to have that kind of structure, then you need a guild.
Yes. And I would say that was one of my points is if you do decide to start a guild, you definitely need bylaws. Like, and there's lots out there online. You can go get inspiration ideas.
You need officers,
You need officers,
a bank account,
all that kind of
a
stuff.
charter with the state, usually for in the United States. I don't know how it works internationally.
Right. Especially when you're dealing with money. Now, the thing with a guild is the thing that are great about guilds is they bring in speakers. I mean, and Pam and I speak at guilds, so we're definitely pro start a guild and invite us. Seriously. But you still have to pay the speakers. And, then you're looking at the treasure and money and all that kind of stuff. I think when you're first starting, though, you definitely want to tap into who's coming to your meetings and what do they know.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys kind of divide up your knowledge and say, okay, so and so is going to share next month. I have one guild, that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I go to this small art guild and we just kind of divide it up, and they're going to present on something in May and the next person will do April, and we just kind of divide it up of our knowledge and what we've gone out and learned about, and kind of bring that back because it's a small group of people and we can't afford to pay a lot of. Now we have one big teacher come in a year and we all take that class, but it's a $200 class. So that's for a couple days or 3 days or whatever. So definitely if you're starting a guild, tap into your own internal knowledge. I would do challenges. I think one of the things that help bind a guild together is do challenges.
And
Swaps. Also do like a charity type of thing. If you're interested in doing charity, you can get together and make a charity quilt for XYZ charity.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a way to bring people together, working together for a common goal kind of thing.
Yeah.
And games, like have one meeting where you do Quilto and Quilto is
like bingo.
Yeah, only with the word quilt and having quilting terms on it. That's always fun.
Now, I will say when you're bringing people together, the one note I made was don't be too limiting in your structure. So if you want to start a modern guild, by all means start a modern guild, but bear in mind that there are quilters that dabble in modern quilting and enjoy other types. And I think one of the things that made the Atlanta Modern Quilt Guild successful is that it was a modern quilt guild, but we didn't care if you showed up to show and tell with a traditional quilt or something you inherited from your grandmother, or, oh, I decided to make this thing that's not necessarily modern. Now, there are modern guilds that they specifically limit, like you may only show modern quilts. And that works for their area, but we didn't have that kind of population.
It didn't work for us.
And when you have that diversity, it's a lot easier to do some of the sharing that you talk about, where if you have a guild dedicated to applique, cool, it's probably the only classes you're going to have are applique classes. You may not focus on free motion quilting or who's good at trapunto or, any of that stuff. So when you're starting out, your interest is quilts.
Exactly.
And if you are absolutely gung-ho, like I only want to find people that like to make mug rugs out of salvages, go on with your bad self.
Right.
But bear in mind that may be a little limited.
Yeah, exactly. But I think ways that I think the one that we were kind of involved in the beginning of was the Atlanta Modern Quilt Guild. And I think what kind of bound us together is we did retreats together. We had a sew-in once a month. That was, I
Social.
think, our favorite thing.
Yeah.
Is once a month we would all show up at this quilt store that they let us use that space, and we would. It was like we were texting each other the day of, going, "Oh my gosh, sew-ins tonight! We can't wait!" It was like a big deal for us to go to that sew-in, and really popular. I mean, there were nights we would have 20 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a fun night, and everybody bring whatever they were working on. So it's not like we were doing a class or doing a thing. You were just really sewing and hanging out and eating pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Was bottom line. They were eating pizza.
Yeah, pizza. Sometimes we'd branch out and get sandwiches.
Every once in a while, Subway would happen. From the quilt store that we used to meet at, it was the Pizza Hut and the Subway were in the parking lot. So the Subway was further down.
Or if you went crazy, you went to the Zaxby's on the way there.
Yes, we did that a lot, and it was good.
That's our brand.
Zaxby's
is a chicken restaurant for those outside the U.S. Southeast.
Yes, I think it is just in the U.S. Southeast. They're quite tasty, though.
It is. They have
They
have actual awesome sauce. It's not called that, but it is a sauce that is awesome. Awesome sauce. Just saying.
And great salads.
And seasoned French fries.
Okay. All right. So it's right before lunch.
I am hungry.
And Pam's hungry.
I'm hungry.
So what else would you say that kind of helped start the guild?
You need at least one extrovert.
Yeah.
You need a greeter.
You do. You do, which is not me.
No. We're like the sit in the bar at Cheers and maybe yell out Norm when you walk in and then like right back to what we're doing.
Yeah. I was not that person. And
No.
even when I was president, I wasn't. And I think it's really important when you're starting a guild and it's kind of getting off the ground that a lot of people kind of have responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not all on one person.
Oh, yeah.
Because if one person is in charge of that guild, then that is going to, if they leave.
If they burn out.
And they will burn out. If they leave, you're lost. Or you're only going to do things their way. And you won't have, I really think any healthy organization has a change in leadership to keep fresh ideas coming in, new speakers coming in, fresh, people. It's just it just adds more to the texture of what that guild is. Mm-hmm. So that's but it's not easy. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of work.
And there will be a point when you're like,
burn it all.
Yes. And it's usually like 2 to 3 years after it starts where the people that started it are starting to get burned out and want to break. And like, you can just tell.
Yeah.
There's like a twitchiness.
And you need people to step up. And if you're involved in an organization like that, oh my gosh, step up. Because granted, the rewards are far outweigh. Because I think we have, one of the reasons we're friends is because we did that guild and we're in that guild together and went through some, trying to working through to get it all organized. And oh my gosh, what are we going to do next month? And
you bring the lighter fluid. I got the matches.
No, it's still healthy and going. And it's a great group.
They meet tomorrow.
And they meet tomorrow. So that's a great group.
Or in the relatively near past for those of you watching.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's, to me, that's healthy. So don't feel like once you take it on, be willing to let it go. Because that keeps the organization going forward.
And honestly, my perspective has always been when I join a group or a company or, applies to my day job, to a guild, to whatever, I don't have the right to sit around and complain about something unless I'm willing to step up and help change it.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And so if you don't like the way that something's going, then that's on you to not sit around and complain about it, but to make a change, do it a different way. It may not necessarily be better, maybe different, and maybe that's what they need. But so go in with an open mind of, I want to partake in this thing. You want to keep it as a healthy living organism.
Right.
You need to approach it with I would like to contribute. Here's what I can bring.
And that's really that's just healthy the
And
way
it's
it's done.
intimidating as heck when you go, like, even with the East Cobb Guild and the membership, renewal form, you got to fill it out. Like, what are you interested in doing? I'm like, nothing. I would like to do nothing but show up and look at quilts. No, I can't do that. I have to put down something.
Yeah, that's what I said too. But it's because I had a really kind of, important job the last time and I was done and now I get to have a break
Mhm.
from that kind of thing. So, starting guild's fun, it's challenging. You meet people that you're going to be friends with for the rest of your life has been my experience. Um as I look at Pam, like she's stuck. She has me now. I'm concerned about the look. She doesn't feel good about this. All right, well, we'll be in therapy right after this show. Um, no. But like going with a positive attitude, it's going to be fun.
Mhm.
Find your people, find your place. Start with a B. Just
Just get
doing,
together and
yeah,
sew.
just get together and sew. And then go down that harder road. So,
There you go. So, would you rather go it alone or get with a guild? Let us know. Leave a comment on our blog or on the YouTube episode. And that's all we have for today's episode. Today's show is made possible by QT Fabrics. Learn more about them and their fun fabrics at qtfabrics.com.
and we'd like to thank 77 Peaches and Big Think Productions for helping produce the stitch. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe.
The next virtual stitch-in is Friday, March 16th at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern, broadcast live on our YouTube channel. My podcast, Hip to Be a Square, is out Fridays or Saturdays on iTunes or Google Play.
And all those details and more can be found on our website, thestitchtvshow.com. Tune in next time for more Quilting Chat with Friends.